Hi, everybody. I'm the Padre, and this is the Pritch, and we're here for
Hi,
about
folks.
30 minutes, hopefully to bring some joy into your life and some happiness and maybe a few laughs.
Yep.
Because this man's face will make anyone laugh. In fact, I saw on a farm one day, he was walking through the chicken yard, and they were cackling like crazy. he was making faces at them.
I just wanted free eggs.
Yeah.
I'll plead out.
And they threw them at you. They had no vegetables.
Whoa, very quick.
So I spoke at a couple of graduations through the Academy of Art University, and one of my things had to do with my new book, which is called I'll Never Know. And if you could see on the picture there, I'm holding a little baby that I baptized, and if you look closely, you can see her eyes just looking up into mine, and I thought it was a good cover because I'll never know what happens to this little girl. She may be the president of the United States someday.
True.
She might find the cure for COVID, or she may be a priest, take my place in the Catholic Church. All of these things I'll never know because I'll be 6 feet under. But the book tells a lot of these stories about people that I've worked with and people that I've known in my life and have left a message, not in words as I try to tell them in words, but they've left a message of growth and development and morality and spirituality and the many other things that help a person to live a better life.
Right.
So I've dedicated my whole life to seeing if I could convert Pritch to being a decent guy. Well, I make fun, surely. But what we're trying to do is be a couple of decent guys who are passing along some information because of the experiences we've had in our lives working with people, trying to help them move this way, and so many people. I just telling these graduates yesterday, they might be on your right or your left or behind you. You'll never know whether they succeed or whether they have to go to jail or whether they get cancer and die at an early age or whether they turn out to be great, loving parents who've succeeded in the world of art. I want you to tell me that line again because the creation not yet.
Okay.
Creation in the definition in Latin is facere ex nihilo aliquid, or facere aliquid ex nihilo, to make something from nothing. And, when you say, well, she's a creative person. If you work in the arts, everything's basically creative. And the arts don't really know time. And they don't know different tastes. St. Augustine say, de gustibus. It's a matter of your taste. So one person's picture is another person, We're all different. But in the world of art, to make something from nothing, the beauty of that is that you can put it on an easel, show it on a screen, you can walk down a runway, you can be on a stage, you can inspire people with sounds of cellos and the different instruments that go through your head because you're just hearing somebody strum a guitar or sing a lyric. So this world of art, it always amazes me because I've spoken at the Academy of Art University a number of times, and the difference between having a graduation at Berkeley or Stanford or any liberal arts school is that it's hard to see what person what a person knows from history or language or culture or mathematics or science. But in the art world, they can show the students' work on a huge screen with the sound effects, and it's like,
Right.
you've really accomplished something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and to see these kids walk across the stage who've been gotten degrees in fashion, and they're wearing their gowns and caps, but they, you could see that they really know something and how to present it.
Right.
So now that's a long introduction.
No, it was good though. It was good.
I know that now I can rest while you carry on.
Snarky malarkey there, folks. I will just say that what I learned a lot from creative young people who have what we call neurodiversity, one of the youngsters is dyslexic, and he was pointing out that reactive and creative have the same letters. And I was like, wow. And I mean, that is remarkable to know how the eye perceives things. Many of the greatest artists ever have been dyslexic. And, they are remarkable at seeing things that others might not, and seeing things in things. And one of my kids would look up at the trees and he would see things. And my little grandson looks up in the clouds and goes, "Look, Grandpa, up there, there's an angel." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And he was 4. And I go, "Wait, it looks like," and I got the picture on my phone. I go, "It really does look like an angel." I go, "Wow, how does a 4-year-old see something that all the rest of the world might miss in a moment, in a wispy cloud?" And that's the point. How do we perceive things? And so reactive, creative. For me, what you're talking about in, I'll Never Know is you never know who somebody is going to become. I think over the years that I've spent with talking to kids, and many of them come back around. I have a young woman who's an FBI agent in New Jersey, and she's raising 3 kids. And her husband's a graduate of West Point, and she's a tough, strong, self-reliant person. When I met her, she was really young, and you never know who people are going to become, what they're going to be able to accomplish. But the more we spend time imbuing into their human spirit a sense of, as I always tell the kids, the purpose of life is a life of purpose. And that's what you've been,
I got to write that. Life of purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing, creative and reactive, I have to remember that. I'll use that.
Yeah, you can use that. Well, that same kid who's dyslexic points out that secure and rescue, same letters.
Oh.
Silent and listen, same letters. Heart and earth. And
what do you do in your free time?
Oh, I just sit there. I'm astounded by it. With this kid the other day out of Lagunitas school, I said, "Now, who here gets teased, bullied, laughed at, ridiculed, shunned, or shamed?" I've been a Catholic social worker 50 years, folks. And I'm sitting there. Even when I was in the military, I was a Catholic social worker because you're dealing with wounded. And it's 50 years later. Life is triage. Lots of wounded. Keep moving. Lots of wounded. I don't get into the politics. I don't get into the left wing or the right wing. I get into the suffering wing. That suffering wing is where we got to concentrate our time. That's where I think Christ wants us. And that's what I try to do. Just take care of people that are hurting bad and try and help them heal to become something they never dreamed they could become. And I think that's what I'll Never Know is about. How many of these young people are filled with doubt when they start freshman year, right? And how do we get past that? I'm sure that, and I've listened to you talk about your early seminary days. You're a kid from Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Why do you keep bringing that up?
I just love Cape Girardeau, Missouri. I just do. I just love it.
You can't even spell it.
Yeah, I know you're right. I can't. G-R, Mississippi.
I don't want to put you on the spot. I know it's on the Mississippi, and you can't spell that because IPPI is the end.
See? smart man, went to the seminary, went to the College of North America in Rome. Smart.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but I'm what I think, how many times have you come across, think about the people that you've met, that you have put wind into the sails of and watched them reach safe harbors in their family marriages and life and raising their own kids and their grandkids.
I've been off the radio with armed forces for almost 20 years. I think it's maybe longer. And I still get a note now and again from somebody in Japan, Korea,
Right.
Someplace in Europe saying, do you still, I saw on the internet, you still have that God Squad thing.
Right.
I listened to you every week when I was overseas. And that's, it's heartwarming.
Right.
I just heard this guy who was first Mexican in his family from Jalisco. Jalisco. First Mexican in his family ever to graduate from high school and college.
Wow.
And he went to the academy, and he now has a master's degree in photography, and he has his own shop now. But in the
like these guys, yeah.
In telling his story of life, he tried and couldn't make any money to make a living because he had a couple of little kids. So he joined the Marine Corps and served overseas, and then coming back, he had a whole new way of looking at life, because he went overseas and saw different people with languages.
Levers of poverty, when you travel, and I traveled internationally, that's when you see poverty at a situational awareness that you just cannot fathom having. And I was raised in a working class family in St. Louis, and I never knew the level of poverty till I hit. There's a line in the movie, The Year of Living Dangerously. We all become children again in the slums of Asia, and we see poverty and starvation and hunger and disease on a level that when you're, and I think you've done travel globally, and it overwhelms the human spirit to see how much we have and take for granted without an attitude of gratitude in this latitude. Yeah. So I think, wow, and then when you come home, I teach perception. My kids were the same way. When they traveled internationally, my son, the doctor, went to Ometepe in Nicaragua and worked at the clinic there as a medico. And then my son went to Connor, the filmmaker, went to he was in Peru, and he was filming a young doctor from the Congo his mom and dad had been killed in an accident, and the village put money together to send him to medical school. And now he's in Cusco in Peru healing people there. My son said that you can't experience that. And my daughter Katie, the therapist, when she was in Costa Rica, she said, Dad, when you see this is what wakes the human spirit up. You'll never know. And the thing is to also encourage that group of folks there too, to say there's things that we can do to help you, and there's things that you can do to help yourself.
So you've described now your two boys and your girl. You have said nothing about the commander-in-chief. The soldiers.
I don't.
Because this could be played back,
Honey, I love you. I mean, I listen to everything you say and then some. And, but she has traveled. And when we were in the Virgin Islands, and she looked, we were talking, the beauty of the Virgin Islands, we were in St. John's and St. Thomas. And she just looked and she said, do you think Americans have a clue at sometimes how much we take for granted? And I said, no. But I said, when we went to the little chapel there, and we saw the priest, and I put some money in the thing, and he looked at me and he goes, "Well, this makes my month." And I was like, "Oh well."
From what you put in?
Well, it wasn't me; it was the corporation I was speaking for that helped out so much, and I guilted them into donating, which I'm really pretty good at. I mean, you know how good you are at guilting.
Yeah.
Guilt monster.
Oh boy.
So
So here's this guy who's a master of ceremonies to graduation yesterday.
Right.
And in the art world here, there are young people from all over the world. Wow. I mean, from Pacific Rim, with Indian, African, Asian names that you would never, and there's nobody like Michael Pritchard or Harry Schlitt or
Right.
John Doe or Abraham Lincoln. I mean,
Right.
these are names, boo, boo, boo. So when I finished my remarks, I said, there's something that I'll never know besides what's in this book, is how this young man can pronounce everybody's name that walks across the stage.
Wow.
So they do phonetically on the cars, but it's amazing that he has that talent, and I've seen him do it, a number of years. And what it does for the individual
Connects them.
it's like having your name called publicly with your picture on the big screen and announcing, and if your family is there, who calls
feel
out
it.
your name in a loudspeaker,
Right.
unless they're saying Pritchard in aisle 3. Someone seems to have
Spilled things all over.
yeah.
He bumped into something. And okay.
Yeah. Oh, I used to love that. In aisle 3. And the poor guy with a mop and a bucket has to go.
Yeah, and go clean up. Yeah, I've been responsible for many spills, folks. It's not having backup beeper on me, But what you're saying is true. You want to have them connect to the fact that they're being lauded and announced as you have arrived.
Yeah.
You are a graduate, and this is San Francisco's a remarkable city of diversity and art and music and theater and dance. I mean, it's a pretty remarkable place. For years working there with the population. And I just think, sometimes what you're doing and what we're trying to do is teach that that's all spiritually connected, all of it, connected to the greater good of doing community unity globally and then regionally and then locally and in the village all the way down to your neighborhood. Neighborhood is neighbor good is neighborhood. And teaching them that we're all interconnected and responsible to each other, and that's like when we find that young person whose heart we can encourage, and they're in question, and the father or mom or dad or brothers or sisters might say, "Can you please just talk to him and try and encourage his heart?" And I see it, and right now after COVID, folks, there's been a lot of isolation, a lot of sadness, and a lot of depression. And so the arts are really important to help recover from that, correct?
Well, there were a lot of graduates who would not come in person to the ceremony to get their diploma simply because they're still afraid of the crowds. And I didn't wear the mask while I was talking or on stage.
Right.
But I saw a number of people in the audience still wearing
the masks. Yeah.
Well, I always experience something that I can take away from this, because I really believe in this program that the Academy has basically survived because they do things virtually. They teach courses in art, and they teach courses. You don't have to speak Chinese or,
Right.
you don't have to speak Japanese. You don't have to speak those languages. In art, you can show people what you're doing.
The
Now, of
arts
course,
unite.
It helps if you can describe something and and nobody's denying that, but at least in drawing and the fine arts, animation, sculptor, there was a man who received a doctorate named Jamie Marsh. He's probably about 75, lives in New York, but he has. They showed his film. He has a sculpture in Washington D.C. that Nancy Pelosi unraveled or took the cover off to show, and it's that kid in Tiananmen Square who stood in front of those four tanks.
Yeah.
There were 4 tanks. Right. They showed the picture and the kid, and the sculptures. In his art, he said, I had no face of that young man.
Yeah.
He said he could have to work out. He said I had pictures from all over the world, but no one had a clear picture of this great, courageous countenance. One human being, knowing that boom, boom, and he's off the earth,
Right.
So that, along with, and now the guy, he does a lot of church work too, but that was the one thing that I saw in the video that really impressed me, that the man worked for years to get the concept of the courage in that young man's face, to sculpture it, to make the bone structure such.
I get it.
Anyway, if I ever get to Washington again, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go visit that sculpture.
Go visit that. Yeah, and I mean that's what art, sculpture, music, theater, animation can bring. Those things unite us globally. Arts unite, and they teach profound, inherent wisdom that the creatives in our world have. So again, back to that line, reactive or creative. And so if we're reacting to something in an angry fashion, it's not as good as creating something that heals. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, think about your life. I can't imagine what it was like for you. You went from a small rural town in Missouri, and then you find yourself not too many years later, you're in Rome.
Yeah.
And you're learning all these different languages. You learned Italian and the Latin and all of that stuff. You know all this stuff. And what was that like? I mean, as a young person who's coming from, your dad and mom were just great people, and they simple ran a gas station.
The discovery of a thing like food, where you're used to fried food,
right?
Fry this, fry that, and fry that.
Catfish, folks. Catfish fry on Friday.
And all of a sudden, you're looking at nuts and even pastas covered in
tiramisu. Oh, did I say that?
Yeah.
My wife's going to bring some tiramisu.
No, but you're a foodaholic.
I am a foodaholic. I think so. I have a bumper sticker on my truck. Bulk up. Big people are harder to kidnap.
Yeah. You ought to wear it on your belt.
Well, I should just have a tag on it. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. But
so I was on a cruise one time. This is years ago, and a lot of old people there.
Yeah.
There was a lady rolling in the dining room in a wheelchair like this, and she had on the back of her chair, she said, "It's not too late. Eat as many desserts as you can." Shel Silverstein once said, I should have another piece of pie, but if I have another piece of pie, I'll die. Well, since I'm going to die, I might as well have another piece of pie.
Well, I love quick, funny slogans. United States Marine Corps has one that says, "Everything might kill you. Do something to die that's fun." United States Marine Corps Aviation. I was like thinking, here comes Top Gun with Tom Cruise coming up. But when we see the level of technology that jets are flying at now, and the technologies that we have, it's, coming from that both you and I have lived lives where people we were at the center of helping and assisting and encouraging folks in our lives, you know. And I just think of all the kids where I filmed on PBS and all these series I did. And, you know, I thought I was doing them a favor, but they were my best teachers, right?
Right.
You know that, right?
My one of my nephews was a top gun in the Marine Corps. He's way retired from FedEx now, but one of my nephews passed away last weekend, so I'm flying to Dallas on Sunday to do the funeral, and I'll see this kid, and you know, the kid is now 70 years old.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry for
But
I know
you
that
know,
one.
when I was,
I do know that one.
he was born when I was 12. I think,
Right.
He was 10 years behind me or something like
Yeah.
that. Anyway, he accomplished a great deal, but he loved speed when he was a kid, and he got to fly one of those jets.
Those jets, yeah.
Then he worked for FedEx, yeah, because Captain Smith was a pilot as well. Okay, we're about out of time, aren't we? And we're pretty close. And so I'm going to say goodbye on behalf of me, and I'll let Pritch say goodbye on behalf of half the world.
Half the world. Let me just say this to everybody out there. All of us know that in the spiritual sense that we're all interconnected. And when you see that there are leaders out there and kind and wise souls who can make a difference in your life, try to tune into that frequency that it is about humanity, compassion, love, connection, and the community unity that builds in your neighborhood and in your world. When you do that, when you're connected to the what we call hive mind, where you're into that harmony of the honey that the bee creates, that's where we're at our best. And being a social worker, a teacher, a cop, a fireman, a priest,
And all the things you are, I'll never know.
there we go.
Thank you.
Take care.